Act of 1975 was advertised, posted, and made available to the public as required by law. The municipal clerk is directed to include a statement in the minutes of this meeting. Madam Clerk, are there any review changes to the agenda?
Mayor, we have several.
Okay.
Item 1, we have the addition of an ordinance on second reading, which is item 5, amending the salary ordinance for payroll clerk, code enforcement officer, and assistant engineer. This was inadvertently not added to the April 3rd agenda for final passage, but it was advertised. We also have the addition of an ordinance on first reading and also a resolution authorizing the sale of 2 parcels of land to the New Jersey Department of Transportation for the necessary ADA compliance project. Also, removal of ordinance on first reading appropriating $1.5 million in bonds to finance 109 East Main Street demo that was removed. We have an addition of ordinance on first reading amending rate of compensation for contracting off-duty career firefighters. This falls in line with the ordinance for the police officers. We have an addition of resolution authorizing emergency appropriation to increase the 2018 temporary budget by $1.2 million. The addition of resolution to amend the calendar year 2018 budget from $33,226,954 to $34,700.
Say it again, Regina. I keep calling her Regina. Sorry, Marcy. What was the numbers again, please?
1.5.
It does read 1.5.
1.5.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Marcy.
Thank you. Okay. The addition of resolution to amend the calendar year 2018 budget from $33,226,954 to $34,726,954. The addition of a closed session item to discuss possible action against owners of 109 East Main Street under the attorney-client privilege. And also, resolution item 1 was changed. This is the authorizing agreement with Mark. So the amount is no longer $50,000, but is now changed to $0. And that's all, Mayor.
Thank you. Motion to approve
Yes.
and dispense the
Mr.
minutes.
Mayor, motion to approve and dispense with the reading of the minutes and file the minutes and proceed with the regular order of business.
Second motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Vice Mayor Perrin,
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis,
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper,
Yes.
Mayor Santiago.
Yes.
And Mr.
Motion
Mayor, move
carries.
that bills be paid after perfectly certified.
Second motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Vice Mayor Perrin,
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis,
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper,
Yes.
Mayor Santiago.
Yes.
Motion carries.
We now open public comment on agenda items only. Anyone that would like to make a comment on an agenda item, please step up to the mic. State your concerns and limit your comments to 5 minutes, please.
Good evening, Commissioners, Mayor. Tim Carty, Millville. I want to speak on ordinance on a second reading, 16-1, amending Chapter 2 of the Municipal Code, eliminating Article 8 of the Industrial Commission. I think there's a major problem with that. For one is, I don't think you guys did enough homework on what our Industrial Commission is doing. Mr. Mayor, don't take this as an attack, but in 2016, there was 10 meetings. Out of 10, you made 1. 2017, out of 10, you made 0. And so far in 2018, out of 3, you made 1. Right now, our Industrial Commission is working on numerous projects to bring business and jobs to this city. The first one they're working on is a company called LKQ, and it's a Fortune 500 company with over $10 million in sales. They're looking to employ 50 to 75 employees at entry-level pay around $14 an hour, and they're looking to build a building from 50,000 square foot to 100,000 square foot. By doing away with this commission, the Industrial Commission, what's going to happen with that deal that's going through? The second one they're working on is a cold storage freezer business. They're looking to move to Cumberland County. Our city is the first choice, and they're looking to bring no less than 60 jobs with an annual salary of $37,000. They could have it built in 12 to 18 months. How's that going to affect if we get rid of the industrial commission? What about the brownfield area? Who will be working on that area? What about the Shoney area? Who's going to be working on that area and getting and overseeing the cleaning and getting the grants? What about in April, there's 2 possible meetings with 2 different solar manufacturing companies that manufacture and set up solar panels. What about that one? More jobs, more tax revenue, everything. By doing away with this commission, I have a feeling we're going to lose a lot of this business. Because if I was a business owner and you take away the people I'm doing business with, I'm not going to do business with the city. And that's all I have. I think we need to really sit down and really let's leave the industrial commission. And even with Merck, from what I was reading, they work pretty well together.
Thank you, Tim.
Betty Motley on Briar Drive. To make it short, I agree with everything he said. And on top of that, I know you sit there, you listen, but as usual, you really don't care. You're not going to change your mind. It was made up before you even took those seats. So with that, I close.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else?
Paul Perrecka Jr., West Main Street, Millville. The Industrial Commission is second reading of ordinance, so you're going to have a public portion comment on that also, right? So the resolution really is the one that where you want to increase the budget by $1.5 million. And we've heard no explanation other than you're tearing down a building. There's been a lot of secrets about it.
Okay.
City Hall was instructed not to talk about it. I mean, obviously there was a lawsuit or a case taken to Superior Court to discuss it, and it was emergent that it be torn down right away, and then nothing still has happened. So we've got 2 experienced commissioners up here. I'd like to hear some explanations as to why the procedure has been so disoriented and secretive from the public, and why it's so expensive, why it wasn't put out to bid, why it hasn't been put out to bid since there's been a delay, and why we're going to be expected to pay for tearing down this building that hasn't budged since the discovery that it was eminently going to fall down.
Thank you, Mr. Perrecka. We will take care of that during the meeting.
Well, hopefully we could get that before you vote to do it all.
Okay,
Is there,
thank you.
is there a chance of that happening?
We do have people to represent that building, that are taking part of that building and what we want done with that building, so you'll hear those people talk.
Right, but then we get no chance to comment on any of it.
We'll see.
So you only issued this agenda late in the afternoon. Earlier, it was to be an ordinance, which people would have gotten a chance to research, look at, and find something about and possibly talk about when it was second reading. Now we're going to do all this as resolution, and it's going to affect every taxpayer in the city of Millville for years and years to come. I think it's something that really shouldn't be done this way. Possibly might not even be legal to do it that way, but there hasn't been any research done on it because nobody knew that that was what you were going to do. Doesn't seem like good business for the people of Millville.
Thank you.
We'll discuss that. Yeah.
Anyone else? I close the comments on agenda items. Presentation, Commissioner Cooper, you have a presentation with a certificate? You're right. You know, it's your part. Okay, that's all right. Thought it'd be right that you do it.
is my pleasure to issue this proclamation for one of my favorite groups. All right, proclamation. Whereas the Benefit and Protective Order of Elks has designated the week beginning May 6, 2018 through May 12, 2018 as Youth Week to honor America's junior citizens for their accomplishments and to give fitting recognition of their services to the community, state, and nation. And whereas the Elks Home BPOE 580 will sponsor an observance during this week in tribute to the junior citizens of this community. And whereas no event could be more deserving of our support and participation than one dedicated to these young people who represent the nation's greatest resource, and who in the years ahead will assume the responsibility for the advancement of our free society and our youth, needed with the guidance, inspiration, and encouragement which we alone can give in order to develop these qualities of character essential for future leadership and go forth to serve America. Whereas to achieve this worthy objective, we should demonstrate our partnership with the youth, our understanding of their hopes and aspirations, and a sincere willingness to help prepare them in every way for the responsibilities and opportunities of citizenship. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners of the City of Millville do hereby proclaim the week beginning May 6th through May 12th as Youth Week, and urge all departments of government, civic, fraternal, and patriotic groups, and our citizens generally to participate wholeheartedly in this observance. Come on up. Great. This is a great thing. You want to speak a minute about this a little bit?
I just want to tell everybody that if you have children, grade school age, they're all welcome to come out. We do one school a night. They're supposed to start the week with attending the church of their parents, whatever. And then every night we take a school and they get to do fun things. It's all youth-oriented. They do field hockey. They do indoor hockey. They have bicycle races. It culminates on Saturday morning with a soapbox derby right behind City Hall. They go down that big hill. And hopefully, like last year, we may get Mayor Santiago to be the first one to go down. But I thank everybody, and thank you, Bruce. And if he'll get in the box. We always have one big enough for you.
I'll be there.
Pictures of that.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right.
Do we have anyone here for the child prevention abuse? Yes. Come on up, please. So the City of Millville has another proclamation, and it states, whereas children are vital to our state's future success, prosperity, and quality of life, as well as being our most vulnerable assets. Whereas all children deserve to have a safe, stable, nurturing, and healthy homes and communities that foster their well-being. And whereas child abuse and neglect in the public is a public responsibility affecting both the current and future quality of life of state, and whereas parents need support and resources to cope with stress and nurture their children to grow to their full potential, and whereas effective child abuse prevention strategies succeeds because of partnerships created among citizens, human service agencies, schools, faith communities, healthcare providers, civic organizations, law enforcement agencies, and the business community. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners of the City of Millville do hereby proclaim the month of April as Child Abuse Prevention Month and call upon all citizens, community agencies, faith groups, medical facilities, elected leaders, and businesses to increase their participation in our efforts to support families, thereby preventing child abuse and strengthening the communities in which we live. Adopted today, April 17th, 2018, signed by all the commissioners and our city clerk, sitting right over there, Jeannie Hitchner. Congratulations. And we're so happy. Nuha. Wow, I'm glad I got that right the first time. Go ahead, Nuha.
Okay, thank you very much. On behalf of the Millville Women's Club, I truly accept this proclamation and thank the commissioners for having this declared as such. We are very much involved and active in promoting child abuse prevention through our club and through higher levels of the Women's Club through the state of New Jersey. So we're very proud to have received this proclamation, and I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Madam Clerk, can we go right into old business?
Yes, Mayor. We have a report from our purchasing agent recommending award of bid for calendar year 2018 water and sewer department supplies to the following 3 vendors as per the attached schedule based on the lowest amount per item: Waterworks Supply Company, Katarina Supply Incorporated, and Core and Maine.
Mr. Mayor, move be received and filed.
Second motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Vice Mayor Parent,
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis,
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper,
Yes.
Mayor Santiago.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Petitions and letters?
There are no petitions and letters, Mayor.
Reports of commissioners. Commissioner Cooper.
No report, Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Udalvis.
Mr. Mayor, there is no report at this time.
Vice Mayor Parent.
Not at this time, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Mayor, can we receive and file the correspondence under Commissioner Pepitone's department?
Okay, who has
So
that? Someone
there's,
has it?
Yeah,
Bruce.
there's
Oh, I'm sorry.
right, so there's a fire department report for the month of March 2018 and a police department report for the month of March 2018 that were
You see that?
added.
That's okay, Mr. Mayor. I'll move
Okay,
to
Mr.
be
Mayor.
received and filed.
Seconded, Bruce?
Second.
Second. Okay.
Any
yes,
comments? Roll call.
Vice Mayor Parent,
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis,
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper,
Yes.
Mayor Santiago.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
Vice Mayor Parent.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to submit the tax collector's report for the month of March 2018. Move be received and filed. Need a second, guys.
Second motion.
Ah, boy.
Any comments? Roll call.
Vice Mayor Parent,
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis,
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper,
Yes.
Mayor Santiago.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
All right, we'll go right into ordinances on second reading, please.
Okay, our first item is an ordinance amending Chapter 2 of the Municipal Code, eliminating Article 8 Industrial Commission subsection 2-31 through 2-35.
Mr. Mayor, move the passage of this proposed ordinance on second and final reading.
Second motion.
I now open up this amended chapter, Municipal Code eliminating Article 8, Industrial Commission, to the public. Anyone that would like to make a comment on this matter, please step up to the podium, state your name and your concerns, and limit your comments to 5 minutes, please.
Good evening, Commissioners. Angeline Broomhall, Millville. I'd like to reiterate my request, practically begging here, to reconsider removing the Industrial Commission. The list of concerns I have is great. First of all, it's a volunteer commission. It costs the city nothing to have these to have people volunteer to try to bring businesses into the city. That always has to be, we can never turn our back on them. We can never, ever, ever, in any capacity, turn our back on someone who's willing to volunteer their time, their knowledge, and their experience in the city. My second concern is for transparency. It's very important that we have this industrial commission so that the rest of the residents have the opportunity to know what the city is doing. And when you privatize that, you eliminate and remove transparency, which is what was promised to us during your campaign. It is vital in government of the United States that we have transparency, not just little old Millville or Cumberland County or the state of New Jersey. Our Constitution is based on by the people, And when you eliminate the people from the process, you're going against everything, every fiber and everything that our country stands for, literally. Literally. It's by the people, and you are really, if this passes, it's eliminating and removing the people from the process. It's not costing taxpayers a dime. We all know every penny has to be watched, but we can't. We cannot allow this to happen in good conscience and say that you're serving the people and then turning your back on them when all we're all trying to do, every one of us, whether we agree or disagree or have different opinions or you like me or you don't, this cannot happen. And then turn around and tell me in the same breath that you care about me, that you care about my daughter, that you care about this city when you're saying you don't want us. I appreciate your consideration, and I strongly urge you to please vote no on this ordinance. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Paul Pereka Jr., West Main Street. I realize that it's futile to stand here and try to convince you to vote no on it, but I would love to hear an explanation from each of you as to why you vote the way you do, because of the explanations that it costs the city nothing. So any explanation would be, I can't think of any reason to eliminate it at all. And no one that I've spoken to can think of any reason to eliminate it. So it would be very interesting to hear what your reasons are for doing it before you vote on it.
Brian McGahee, Millville. Just like he just stated, there's not a lot of information coming out as to why you want to do this. I'm going to speculate here. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to see what's going on in this city right now. The Democratic Party is controlling this commission.
Not true.
Well, when you take all your campaign donors, give them contracts and jobs and things like that, the writing's on the wall. You want to eliminate this commission so that you can get more power. You're going to have a planner here in this building which is going to be an employee, and you're going to be able to tell that employee what has to be done. As if you have a industrial commission, they're an independent commission. They can give their advice, and getting rid of this commission is a stupid, stupid move. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
I just want to add something. Betty Motley on Millville. It's hard to talk. If you're so dead set on doing this, and you want to spend this money, since the other thing's not costing you nothing, why not have both? You have them, so you would have double the chance of getting business. My personal spin is it's wanted because then there's no oversight. When you have a board that can oversee things, it's a little different. You get rid of them, there's not going to be no oversight. So, and my other question isn't a lot of those same people that is in Merck and that, aren't they just recycled old city employees that used to work for the city back when? And isn't there some kind of investigation going on about certain funds that were used improperly back then? So we need insight into what is going to happen with the Industrial Commission. Personally, I probably won't be here, but I've never stood here for myself in the first place, because I've always been out for the betterment of the people who live in the city that cannot afford to get out, the poor people who can't afford the mistakes. So hopefully you'll reconsider this. Thank you.
Thank you, Betty. Anyone else?
Yes. Mr. Cooper.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. George Cooper, Millville. I've been away for 3.5, 4 months. Tonight is my first night back, and I've got to tell you, I've never seen anything as bad as this in my life. Mayor, you're signaling Mr. Perret, discouraging looks. Tim said some things that perhaps you don't agree with. This is ridiculous. Right now, it's surprising me. I had really no information while I was gone, but they're saying you contracted the destruction of this building without the other commissioners even being involved. What kind of nonsense is that? I wasn't happy with you for the 4 years you were in already. You began great. Now it seems like a bunch of head shakes. Miss Udalvis, you look like you'd like to say something, really.
She will.
Say it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper. Welcome back. Anyone else? I close the public comments on this ordinance. Madam Clerk?
Mr. Mayor, after the public hearing.
Go ahead.
Since the March 20th regular meeting of the City Commission, the dissolution of the Industrial Commission through amending Chapter 2 of the Municipal Code has highlighted differing opinions of creating opportunity for economic development in the City of Millville. Regardless of one's perspective into promoting economic growth, one concept is certain. The Industrial Commission represents a vehicle for public service that is as dedicated to the advancement of the City of Millville as the volunteer organizations and committees that dedicate service and commitment to all improvement initiatives in our city. Throughout the first reading of this ordinance and subsequent discussions into the dissolution of the Industrial Commission, I've expressed my concerns and apprehensions for dissolving a body corporate based on reasons that cannot be supported qualitatively or quantitatively. Additionally, I have recognized the dignity and grace of the members of the Industrial Commission. It is through our respect and gratitude that we as a community convey our appreciation to volunteers who demonstrate a dedication to the advancement of a municipality. Integral aspects of government include respecting the perspectives of all stakeholders and valuing the unique contributions that each can offer. I continue to express my support for the dedication of the members of the Industrial Commission and commend them for the dignity and grace that they have demonstrated as representatives of our community. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You're welcome. Anybody else?
Mr. Mayor, if I may, because I think we do owe the public an explanation. I don't have any problem in talking about it. The one thing that continues upsetting me is when people indicate that politics is getting involved in my decision. I can only speak for myself. That has never happened in all my years of being here as a city commissioner. I think most of the people know that. I'm not a pawn for either political party, Democrat or Republican. I represent and vote for the people of this city. Some people like the way I vote. Some disagree with the way I vote. But one thing I am not, a pawn for either political party. I want to make that perfectly clear. My record of voting here speaks for itself. I voted for as many Republicans as I have Democrats. And check my record, you'll see that. As far as the Industrial Commission, I attended those meetings, and I appreciate what those volunteers do for the city. I think I missed one meeting due to a personal reason, but I know those men who serve on that Industrial Commission, and they volunteer. I understand that, but people implied, I know at the last meeting, and they're still here, that it was a personal reason why we are disbanding that commission. Nothing's farther from the truth. I want to make that perfectly clear. I have nothing against anyone who serves on any board who gives their time. I appreciate that. So I want to make that perfectly clear. One of the things that we've looked at in doing this is that I personally feel that we're duplicating some services that are important to us and to the city. LKQ is here tonight, and we're going in closed session to discuss matters of trying to work out and bringing them into this city. I've met these men before. I think they know me, they know where my heart is, and I'm willing to work with them. It makes it much easier dealing directly with the city commission, as we've done in the past, and working with our professional people. We have now hired a full-time city planner overseeing all the economic development that we have within this city. You go to one person. You don't have to go to other groups to do it. That's important. You know why? Says people like who are here, money, developers. They go to one board, they spend their time, and it costs them money having their professional people on board and legal counsel on board. I believe that we can do one-stop shopping here in the city. You guys don't have to keep coming back from one board to the next board to the next board for information. And a proven factor of that, and the mayor and I cannot discuss another company that we met with last week. And we got all of the players together. I call it a war room. That's how I'm old school. You bring in everybody, professional staff from the city, professional people from the outside, professional people that I know can make this happen. You can't just say, come back next month, next year, whatever. These people costing money every time they have to be here. This provides us with a flow. You can call City Hall and talk to somebody about economic development. You'll get an answer. You'll get a phone call back. That's important in economic development. We are streamlining these things. We've done it in the budget, full-time planner. It's important. We know by doing what we just did last week, if these people had to go through that, they would already been settled. Why? Because we had the professional people in that room to answer their questions, to move the project along, and it is going to happen. It will happen. One-stop shopping. They got every answer they had a question on. Everyone. And before they left, they went to the mayor and shook his hand. Mayor, it's a great pleasure coming to a city where I can go before a group of people and get all of the answers. That's why we're doing it, folks. I don't expect people to keep coming back. We want to be friendly with economic development in this city, and we will continue doing that. Give it a chance. Some of those members on that board, the Industrial Commission, we hope will be absorbed as board members on other parts of our city. That's what we hope to do. We've already discussed some of that. So we're just not throwing people out. This city is a city of volunteers. We know that, and we appreciate it. But we also recognize and understand what we have to do in the economic part of this city to create jobs, to create ratables is extremely important. We know where the competition is against us. We want to be friendly. That's what we want to be, to make it so people who are here tonight don't have to keep coming back. That's why you make those decisions. It's not because we don't like anybody. That doesn't enter in my mind. There's people don't like me, okay? I told Jim Quinn that. Jim, everybody don't like you. Everybody's not your best friend. Everybody's not going to vote for you. Just try to do what you think in your heart is the right thing. That's why my decision is from my heart to do the right thing for the outcome of this city. I want to make that perfectly clear, Mr. Mayor. Sorry, sir.
Thank you. Well said. Streamline, you said it very well. It's not about dissolving one specific group. It's exactly what the vice mayor said. We thought about this. We thought it through. We have one person within the city that you can go to, and it all is going to filter right back down to us. I'm so excited for the next few months that are coming through, because we're going to be able to show you what companies are coming into this city. You know, we're doing more than the school board's doing for you guys that are laughing back there. We're going to move this city forward because that's our goal. We have this great company here that started with the old commission. And yes, the Industrial Commission had part of that, Mr. Parecka, and we're moving forward with it. We're moving forward with that group because we want them in Millville. And they got plenty of people here. I believe there's four or five of you, that are here today. We're going to move this forward. And having that one person in Commissioner Udalov's department is going to help tremendously. Tremendously. That is going to be a great part for the city. And I don't want to repeat what Vice Mayor said, but it's all going to filter down. Anyone else?
Vice Mayor. Roll call.
Roll call.
Vice Mayor Parent.
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis.
No.
Commissioner Cooper.
Yes.
Mayor Santiago.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
Thank you. Next
Second
ordinance, please.
Second item is an ordinance amending the municipal code of the City of Millville, Chapter 39, Motor Vehicles and Traffic Regulations to add the following parking reserved for handicapped persons, 407 East Broad Street, George M. Byrd.
Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of this proposed ordinance on second and final reading.
Second the motion?
Once again, this is a ordinance on second reading. Anyone that would like to make a comment on this? It's a public hearing. Please step up to the mic and state your concerns and limit your comments to 5 minutes, please. It's in regards to a traffic regulation, parking reserved for handicapped person. Seeing no one, I close this ordinance on second reading. Madam Clerk?
Vice Mayor Parent.
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis.
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper.
Yes.
Mayor Santiago.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Item 3 is an ordinance authorizing an amendment to Chapter 43-40 regulations regarding the insurance requirements for special events on public property involving alcohol service and sales to comply with NJSA 40:49-4, which requires these policies remain up to date.
Mr. Mayor, I move the passage of this proposed ordinance on second and final reading.
Second motion.
Once again, it's an ordinance on second reading, open to the public for your comments. It's in reference to regulations regarding insurance requirements for special events on public property involving alcohol service. If you have any comments, please step up to the mic, state your name and your concerns, and limit your comments to 5 minutes, please. Seeing no one, I close the public hearing on ordinance number 3. Roll call.
Vice Mayor Parent.
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis.
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper.
Yes.
Mayor Santiago.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 4 is an ordinance authorizing the following changes to Chapter 2, Article 19, Subsection 2-69 of the Municipal Code. Remove the following title and range of compensation: water meter reader, with a minimum of $8.25, maximum of $25.48. Add the following title and range of compensation: meter worker 1, with a minimum of $8.60 and a maximum of $25.48.
Mr. Mayor, I move the passage of this proposed ordinance on second and final reading.
Second motion.
Once again, this ordinance is on second reading, open to the public. If you have any comments regarding the changes to the municipal code on salary, please step up to the mic, state your concerns, limit your comments to 5 minutes, please. Seeing no one, I close item 4, ordinance on second reading. Roll call.
Vice Mayor Parent.
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis.
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper.
Yes.
Mayor Santiago.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 5 is an ordinance amending salary ordinance 32-15, 3-2016, and 15-2016 for the following titles: payroll clerk with a minimum of $20,000, maximum of $51,234.26. Code enforcement officer, minimum of $20,000, maximum of $50,054.13. Assistant engineer with a minimum of $20,000, maximum of $80,075.95.
Mr. Mayor, I move the passage of this proposed ordinance on second and final reading.
Second motion.
Once again, ordinance on second reading, amending salary ordinances for payroll clerk, code enforcement officer, and assistant engineer. Anyone that would like to comment on this item, item number 5, please step up to the mic, state your concerns, give us your name, and limit your comments for 5 minutes. Seeing no one, I close item number 5. Roll call.
Vice Mayor Parent.
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis.
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper.
Yes.
Mayor Santiago.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Let's go right into ordinances on first reading, please.
Sure. We have an ordinance amending the background investigation procedures for license applications to remain up to date with the provisions of NJSA 40:49-4.
Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of this resolution, adoption of this ordinance on first reading.
Second the motion?
Any comments? Roll call.
Vice Mayor Parent.
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis.
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper.
Yes.
Mayor Santiago.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 2 is an ordinance approving and authorizing an application to the State of New Jersey Commission of Transportation for the Millville Volunteer Fire Department Incorporated to hold a coin drop on June 29, 2018 and June 30th, 2018 on the Route 55 southbound exit ramp to Route 49.
Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of this proposed ordinance on first reading.
Second the motion?
Any comments? Roll call.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 3 is an ordinance amending the rates of compensation for contracting off-duty law enforcement officers to remain up to date with the current fees for these services.
Mr. Mayor, move for the passage of this proposed ordinance on first reading with final consideration to be given on May 1st, 2018, after due publication provided for by law.
Second motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion carries. Okay, item 4 is an ordinance amending Chapter 2, Administration, Article 19, Salaries and Compensation, subsection 2-69, Salaries of Officers and Employees.
Mr. Mayor, move for the passage of this proposed ordinance on first reading with final consideration to be given on May 1st, 2018, after due publication provided for by law.
Second motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 5 is an ordinance authorizing the sale of parcels of Block 418, Lot 2, and Block 461, Lot 1.02 to the New Jersey Department of Transportation for the required improvements necessary to comply with the Americans with Disabilities Act.
Mr. Mayor, move the passage of this proposed ordinance on first reading with final consideration to be given on May 1st, 2018, after due publication is provided for by law.
Second motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 7 is an ordinance amending the rates of compensation for contracting off-duty career firefighters. It's the same as the police officers.
You got that? Can we do it? Mr. Mayor, move the passage of this proposed ordinance on first reading with final consideration to be given on May 1st.
Second.
Second, after due publication provided for by law.
Second motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you on all those ordinances.
I know. I got all these things here. I'm sorry, Mayor.
Resolutions, please.
Okay, item 1 is a resolution authorizing an agreement between the City of Millville and Millville Urban Redevelopment Corporation, designating Merck as a redevelopment partner for the City of Millville, authorizing them to manage and coordinate the UEZ program and manage UDAG funds transferred into the city for the period of April 4th, 2018 to December 31st, 2019 in the amount of $0 that was changed.
Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of this resolution.
Second motion.
Certification of funds?
We don't need them.
No.
They're
Oh,
$0.
zero. I'm sorry, you're
Zero,
right.
Mayor. That's okay.
Any other comments? Roll call.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion
On a
carries.
side note, we can certify 000.
Okay, that sounds
Go
That's a
ahead.
good price.
Yeah.
So certified.
2.
Item 2 is a resolution authorizing an agreement between the City of Millville and Cumberland County Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, TA South Jersey Regional Animal Shelter, authorizing them to provide basic shelter services and additional services as per the schedule in the contract for the period of March 1st, 2018 to December 31st, 2018 in the amount of $93,530.
And with that, Mr. Mayor, I have a certification of availability of funds from Marcy Shepard, Chief Financial Officer, in the amount of $93,530, and move for the adoption of this resolution.
Second motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 3 is a resolution authorizing public sale of vehicles and equipment no longer needed for public use, scheduled for Thursday, May 3rd, 2018 at 10 a.m. at the Public Works Facility, 416 South 15th Street, Millville, New Jersey.
Mr. Mayor, move the adoption of this resolution.
Second motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 4 is a resolution amending Resolution number 338-2017, adopted on November 21st, 2017, for the purpose of including employee supplemental life insurance, which was omitted from the original contract between the City of Millville and Allen Associates, the city's insurance broker, for the Millville Employee Health Benefit Program for dental, vision, prescription drugs, and life insurance.
Mr. Mayor, move the adoption of this resolution.
Second motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 5 is a resolution authorizing the submission of the recycling tonnage grant application to the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection, with the monies received from the recycling tonnage grant being deposited in a dedicated recycling trust fund to be used solely for the purpose of recycling.
Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of this resolution.
Second the motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 6 is a resolution approving military leave of absence and payment of pay differential due to call of active military duty in the Air Force for Brian Day for the period covering April 1st, 2018 to May 31st, 2018.
Mr. Mayor, move for the adoption of this resolution.
Second motion.
Any comments? We commend Brian Day for doing what he's doing in our armed forces. Roll call.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 7 is a resolution requesting permission from the Director of the Division of Local Government Services to approve expenditure of monies by dedication by writer to pay expenditures of the outside employment of off-duty municipal police officers in accordance with NJSA 40A:4-39.
Mr. Mayor, move for the adoption of this resolution.
Second motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 8 is a resolution requesting permission from the Director of the Division of Local Government Services to approve expenditure of monies by dedication by writer to pay expenditures of the Municipal Alliance on Alcohol and Drug Abuse Program in accordance with NJSA 40A:4-39.
Mr. Mayor, move for the adoption of this resolution.
Second motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion carries. We have a resolution to authorize an emergency appropriation to increase the 2018 temporary budget in the amount of $1,500,000 to demolish 109 East Main Street pursuant to NJSA 40A:4-20.
Mr. Mayor, before we move on, then I'd like to call on Bowman and Bowman. We have Mike here this evening to explain exactly what we're doing, and hope that we make that somewhat clear. So, Mike, we appreciate it.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. The Revenue and Finance Department was notified that there was an emergent situation in the city, and we were asked to look into the funding possibilities that the city could do for the demolition. We consulted, the city did consult with us as the city auditor. It also consulted with bond counsel, its financial advisor, and we also had conversations with the state of New Jersey, the Division of Local Government Services, which is our oversight agency. So during those conversations, we were advised that an emergency contract was going to be issued, and the question is, how do we pay for that? So there were a couple of options that the city looked at, one of which was from Fleischman Daniels, the bond counsel, was perhaps utilizing the consideration of a bond ordinance. That was originally placed on our agenda this evening, but after further consideration, it was removed. Some of the positives, I guess you could look at it from that standpoint, is it would spread the cost of the demolition over several years. However, a negative from that perspective would be the cost of interest, because you would be issuing debt for it. There would also be additional cost relative to finance professionals because you would be issuing such debt. So option 1 was taken off the table. Option 2 was a budget appropriation with the consideration of funding this entirely from tax revenue. That increase would have resulted in 10 additional cents on your tax rate. So looking at the city's position financially, looking at the citizens, option 3 became the best option for us. And option 3 is still a budget appropriation. However, it's going to be funded with surplus for this budget. The state of New Jersey has approved this. There will be an amendment for your consideration this evening to amend the budget as introduced. The sequence of events put us into a little bit of a bind because the budget itself was not adopted yet. It'll probably be adopted this evening. So that created a little wave of consideration for us into how we time everything. So the next item on your agenda that you're about to address is what they call an emergency temporary appropriation. Currently, the city has not adopted its budget, so it's operating on a temporary budget. So to award our contract, we need to have an emergency temporary appropriation. So that's the vote that you'll take this evening and say, we're going to have that next, we're going to pass that, and then that emergency is going to be funded in the final budget. So that's the process that we're looking at. Because this is an emergency temporary appropriation under NJSA 484-20, there is no need to advertise this change to the budget. I'd be glad to answer any questions the commission has.
No. Any commissioner have any questions?
I just thank you for coming through for us. You know, it hasn't been an easy process for us, Mike.
It's been an interesting week.
It has, a few weeks.
Yes,
But
for you a few weeks.
I'm glad that we took baby steps and attempted to figure this out as best as we could, but we appreciate what Bowman has done for us.
You know,
Thank you.
if I may, Mr. Mayor, again, Mike, you know, it's been a whirlwind right now. I think the people want some answers of what's happening. We'll give that to you tonight. It just isn't that simple, folks, of spending taxpayers' money. You know, it's important. I know to all of us, option number one was not going to take place. There is no way that I would ever introduce a budget of 10 cents to the people of this city. That's just something I'm not going to do. But it's been a strong effort by Bowman and Bowman to be there for us. Some people think I'm old school, folks, and I don't mind saying it. When I do a professional service contract at the beginning of this year for our auditors, there was no question in my mind. The best ones that were there was Bowman and Bowman because they are the best, Mike, and we appreciate that. When they're up in Trenton representing municipalities like ours, they know how to get the job done, and that is important to us. Important to you as taxpayers, having people like Bowman and Bowman representing our city. You know, this is only the beginning. You know, we couldn't move too quickly on a means to fund this project. First of all, under the Revenue and Finance, we are deeply concerned of the demolition of that building, that in some manner this city would not be held liable. So we want to go to court to make sure that we don't get sued when we are about to go out there and tear that building down. And that was important, and our counselor did a tremendous job in doing that. Jim, we appreciate what you've done over there. Make sure that by some means that we demolish Jim's lunch. Who's responsible for that? You know, I want to make sure that we're not responsible for that as a city. And Bowman is the best to help us along that travels. So I thank Mike and Bowman, Marcella Shepard, for the job that you've done in the finance. We'll be talking maybe later also on our budget, putting this strong team together. And our friends, and I repeat, our friends in Trenton, from the community development up there, the tax office, the treasurer's office, our friends who are up there on our behalf helping us get this through. So I just want to thank them all for this process. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Mike. Anyone else?
Yeah, I want to know if you can expound a bit more on how this emergent contract, how this affects us in the future.
The one benefit that we have by taking this emergency temporary appropriation and putting it into our budget for 2018 and the utilization of surplus, so there is no tax impact, we do have a reserve that sits on our balance sheet in the trust fund. The city has remaining general liability self-insurance funds that will be canceled. By December 31st, there'll be a resolution put before you from the Revenue and Finance Office. Those funds will replenish the $1.5 million in surplus that you're using for this budget. So that is how your surplus is going to be regenerated in this case. So you already have these funds in place.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else?
To clarify, Mr. Mayor, this resolution is in fact based in the budgetary matter and approaching the impending emergency demolition. It does not have to do with the actual contract itself. This is merely, as Mr. Bowman had stated, to prepare our budget for the impending emergency.
Correct.
Thanks,
Anyone
Mike.
else?
Thank you,
Mr. Mayor, we'll walk through. Some of these votes are going to need to be 2/3 votes. And I'm going to ask Mr. Sarah to, if it's all right with you, let's have him stay at the podium to make sure that commission knows which ones are just by majority only, which ones are 2/3, and if there's anything that he needs to add so that you're prepared to vote on each item.
Okay. Good point.
Sorry, Mike, you're going to stack.
Mike?
Okay. So, Vice Mayor Parent,
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis,
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper,
Yes.
Mayor Santiago.
Yes.
Motion carries. Next item is a resolution authorizing award of an emergency contract for demolition of a structure located at 109 East Main Street to Perryman's Excavating Incorporated in the amount of $1,204,512.72.
And with that, Mr. Mayor, I have a certification of availability of funds from Marcel Shepard, Chief Financial Officer, in the amount of $1,204,512.72, and move for the adoption of this resolution.
Second motion.
Any comments?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
Following the emergency procedures to secure the perimeter of 109 East Main Street, I expressed on March 28, 2018, the necessity to procure additional estimates and invoices for the impending demolition of the unsafe structure. Even in comparable emergency demolitions, the city maintains the responsibility to seek additional estimates in an attempt to ascertain fair market value for the procedures and demonstrate due diligence in contracting services that are accurately estimated and represented. It is my evaluation that the contracting of services in this case has not followed the due process necessary to uphold the fiscal accountability of the Board of Commissioners to the taxpayers of Millville. Consequently, approving this contract and invoice without the necessary measures of security through a performance bond and the procurement of competitive bids prior to approval and execution of the project neglects sound practices in contracting services for a demolition that has been quoted at an amount far exceeding the cost of routine emergency contracts and that will have a significant impact on the city's budget. As commissioners, our first priority is to protect the interest of our citizens and taxpayers, and I have actively presented evidence to support the procurement of additional bids from the emerging stages of this process to the most recent of developments. To deny qualified contractors who demonstrate the ability to perform the required work on a project of this magnitude the opportunity to even submit a bid with proper itemization and schedule of values is negligence. While I understand and respect the role of each of our personnel through the context of each decision made, I cannot grasp the rationale for our legal representation to allow this situation to progress without considering the welfare of our city's finances and accountability to its taxpayers. I absolutely cannot support the approval and ratification of this contract for services, as due process was not followed and accountability to the taxpayers of Millville was not upheld to the best of our ability. It is more important to protect and represent our taxpayers than to be concerned about saving face and the implications of admitting when a situation has not been approached effectively. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anyone else? Anyone else?
Do you have any comment, Mike?
What's that?
No. I want to make sure, I don't know if council can agree with this under an emergency contract. I mean,
That was
you know,
my question. Is it still emergent?
yeah.
Yeah, it's an emergency
you know,
contract.
that's
And the reasons why?
I'm sorry, what was that?
And the reasons why? As
The reason why is because it continues to be an emergent matter. Your contractor is continuing to work under your structural engineer. While it may not look like things are happening on site, things are working, continuing to monitor that building and take care of that building and take it down in a way that addresses all of the safety concerns involved with that building. It's my understanding that when Mr. Perriman was called, 2 other contractors were called. You have a purchasing agent here who certified this matter. The state paperwork has been filed and is being filed for that matter, and for that reason it remains an emergent matter.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk?
Okay, Vice Mayor Parent,
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis,
No.
Commissioner Cooper,
Yes.
Mayor Santiago.
Yes.
Okay, and this motion carries, correct? This is not one of the
Yes.
ones. Okay, very good. Motion carries.
That was
Thank you.
right.
All right, so item 9 is a resolution to authorize the reading of the calendar year 2018 budget by title only pursuant to NJSA 40A:4-8.
Mr. Mayor, move for the adoption of this resolution.
Second motion.
We now open this up for public hearing.
Mike, you want to make any comments in reference to that at this point, or you want to wait under it?
Public hearing, you can,
Pretty much
you
right.
can.
It's public hearing on the budget.
It's up to you.
Yeah, the only comment that I will tell you is that the state of New Jersey has reviewed the budget. They have reviewed the proposed budget amendment. They have signed off, and they have approved the budget to be adopted should the commission take action this evening to do so after the public hearing.
Thank you.
And I'll leave the microphone to the
Thank you.
citizens.
Anyone else?
I'm usually not at loss for words, but about this point in time, I almost am. First of all, Mr. Santiago, you took over. I know I'll destroy her last name, so I'll refer to her as Commissioner Ashley. And just knocked her right out. Nobody could talk to her, only you, and that's not your department. So there was no oversight. And where is the emergency? It's been 3 weeks. Well, if you can convince the people of Millville this is an emergency, then my house is for sale and there's a gold mine underneath it. So will they please come over and make me an offer? Because this is just ridiculous what you're trying to convince the people of Millville. Don't sit there and just go.
I'm listening to you. What do you want
But
me
you
to do?
never answer.
I don't have to answer you.
I know
We'll
that's
wait till the end of the meeting. I'll answer you then. Stand by.
You just finally
Stand by.
finally told the truth. You don't
Stand
have
by.
to answer me or anyone else because, as far as my opinion, you're the dictator in this town. And whatever you want or think or does, it's got to be the way it is, no matter what it is. Well, you don't intimidate me. You might intimidate some people. And she's the best thing that there is going. She's the only one that is putting the people of Millville first. These poor people are losing their houses every day. You got more and more boarded houses. Does anyone really care that people are walking away from their homes? That people are struggling to feed their kids? Senior citizens are struggling to buy their medication. There's no caring about what happens to their tax rate. It just, thank God, I'll soon be out of here.
Thank you, Betty.
Council members, Mayor, my name is Robert Brunig. I'm a property owner here in Millville. I'm also the owner of Earth Tech Contracting. We're a licensed demolition company in the state of New Jersey. We've performed over 5,000 demolition jobs in the past 15 years. We do emergency work for the city of Millville. We do emergency work for the city of Atlantic City. We work with the Millville Fire Department, the Upper Township Fire Department, the Ocean City Fire Department. We do more demolition down the Jersey Shore than anybody else. My question to you tonight is, why weren't there notifications going out to any bidders to participate in this activity? Also, an emergency job in Atlantic City was performed this week by my company. We had 24 hours to perform it. That's why it was an emergency, because it was an imminent hazard and it could fall down at any time. I think that the term emergency on this job is being stretched out quite a bit. So if you can clear the air a little bit and maybe explain why other contractors that work with your city were not notified, that would help us all understand your thinking and the way that the board moved. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert.
Paul Pareca Jr., West Main Street. I did a little research into the tax rates for all of the towns and municipalities in Cumberland County. And one of the things that I discovered is that, first off, you have to know that the cumulative tax rate that we pay is divided into different sections. We pay a county tax rate, we pay a school tax rate, and we pay the city a tax rate. If you look at the overall tax rate, Millville's not too bad. It's in the highest percentage, but it's not the highest one. But if you look at the city rate, we're the second highest in the county. Bridgeton beats us out by just a little bit, not much. The county rate that everybody pays is equalized, so everybody pays the same amount to the counties. The school rate is based on the Board of Education and what they do, and the Abbott District. Well, we're in an Abbott District, so we don't pay a lot of school tax. The state takes up a large portion of that. The problem with the Millville City rate is it's the second highest in the county by a lot. We pay $1.22 in city rate. It's ridiculous. The next city is Vineland, that is well below $1. Obviously, there's something very, very wrong with the budgeting process in Millville. This kind of thing that we're doing now, where we're taking $1.5 million and going to spend it on something that may or may not be an emergency. Nobody's told us why it's an emergency. Nobody's shown any evidence as to why it's an emergency. Could have reduced our tax rate by 10 cents. Now we're getting closer to something a little bit more reasonable, but we're still over 15 cents higher than the next community. I'd love to see an explanation of why we can't be more in line with the other communities and what we spend, and why we have to be $1.22 when the next highest one is in the 80-cent range. Makes no sense to me. I don't understand it. Never got an answer why you wanted to eliminate the Industrial Commission. Nobody has to appear in front of the Industrial Commission. There's no requirement for that. Your rambling explanation of appearing in front of different boards has nothing to do with the Industrial Commission. Maybe you could elaborate on that at the end of the commission session.
Thank you, Mr. Pareca, Jr.
Good evening. Kirk Hewitt, Millville. Back to the demolition. I had the honor of spending the day over at Cumberland County Courthouse with the city attorney and a few other people last week. I was there for the whole thing. I heard some troubling things tonight that I was there. I think 3 times Mr. Doherty, who's in here tonight, assured the mayor, he's the representative for Pinoni, he assured the judge, who asked many times, a few things. Has anybody been in the building to see if it can be salvaged and rehabbed? Has anybody gone inside the building to determine the fact that it is an emergency? I think your answer to them, sir, was the building is so unsafe that nobody should go in there. But now tonight I hear we have people in there on the property working. We have, that's troubling. Doing things with progressing. I think it's pretty secure, that building right now. And like Commissioner Udalova said, something's wrong. I'm not up here speaking against who currently has the contract or anything else. Hey, God bless him if he can have this for the price that it is. It's just amazing how everything has stumbled to a halt now, seeing that the city is stumbling to try, has stumbled, evidently he's found out how, to get the funding to do this. I know the judge questioned that many times. Where are you going to get the funds? I guess you just found out how. That's good. That's okay. But how long is this building going to sit there with the walls? Are we going to suspend a wall over top of gyms now? Then it'll be totally encased. How long is it going to sit? I guess you got to do another reading to go ahead with the demolition. Is that? I guess I'm not the smartest person in the world here with what you got to do. But now we're going to move into, what are we, 4 weeks into this? I think the emergency went away. I think that if somebody was to take a ride over to the county courthouse and ask for intervention by Judge Semino, it just might be intervened. And I also want to ask why. I realize you all work, except for you, Commissioner Parent, and you're busy doing things for the city. Great. Why was nobody there from the city? Nobody. Except for the city attorney. Nobody's there. Mr. Mayor, you're taking everything. You have. People have mentioned it. I remember sitting in this commission chambers many times last year, and you spearheaded the conversation of, Mr. Commissioner, I won't put any names out, you don't belong in so-and-so's department. Stay out. Stop crossing into departments. We all had a department. Commissioner Ulavas has evidently no say in this because you made it clear in the paper, in the Daily Journal, nobody from the city's to talk, nobody's to talk. I am taking care of this. But yet, many times last year, the year before, you got very mad when other commissioners just tiptoed into a department. All I got to say is, why? That's really why. Because that building is securer now than it was in the last 4 years, 5 years. Every one of us go over there and park next to that thing every morning. It's been the same way, except that stucco bulged off there a little bit harder because of the heavy snowstorms we got in the middle of the spring, the weight of the snow, the water that went down inside the crack that's been there for a minimum of 3 years. I said to the city attorney when he got his order, I walked up to you and I said, good, now let's knock it down, didn't I? When are we going to knock it down? If we're not going to do it tomorrow, I think you ought to think about going a different direction. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hewitt.
Tim Cardi Millville, I just got one question. All right, so I might be a little slow because I deal with numbers every day. So we're taking $1.5 million out of our surplus, correct? So how much are we starting with in our budget before the $1.5 million? How much money is in our surplus right now? Without because there's a method to my madness.
Surplus as of December 31st, 2017, $8.9 million.
So now we're going to take another 1.5 out, correct? So that'll leave us with 7.4 million. What happens if we have road collapse? Look how long it took to get Ware Avenue fixed. I deal with road construction every day. It takes one road to go under. Right now you're doing work on a state highway. What happens if that road goes? Who's liable? 7.4 million left. My question is, why are we doing a bond for 1.5 million when we got an estimate of 1.204? Don't add up. So where's the other 300, little under 300,000 going? Can somebody answer it?
Yes.
Where's almost 300,000 going?
My understanding is it's in case that there's an override on the budget, on something unforeseen on that project. I wanted to make sure that money was in that budget. That's why we went with 1.5. That's the answer that I have for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my other question is there a contract signed? And if so, if there's an oversee, I could guarantee, because I see it every day, there's going to be change orders. There's going to be this and there's going to be that. And I think we're going to go over to 1.5. 7.4 left in a budget in a surplus, that's no good. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry to say, and you know it, and everybody up there knows it. If I was you guys, I'd vote this budget down and rework it. Because this is crazy. Especially with our weak infrastructure with the sewer and water mains. It's not pretty cheap to get any of that repaired. Just saying. If anything, I'd send it out to bid and let's go with it. Because I'm sure 1.2 million, somebody will walk in and do 300,000. Let's start using our heads and think of the taxpayers. You know, I'm invested in this city. I have 3 kids and a wife. You guys keep gouging my taxes, it's going to go bad. Even though it's coming out of surplus, you don't know what's going to happen down the road. It's just like running a house. You guys all run homes. Do you got extra money in your checking account in case you need to buy a refrigerator, air conditioner, whatever? I think the city needs to start paying attention, especially with our older infrastructure.
Thank you, Mr. Cardy.
Good evening, Commissioners. Angeline Broomhall, Millville. So let's not ask what wasn't it. What will be in our surplus? Let me a specific number. Please, if you can tell me what will be in our surplus, assuming that this budget passes.
The utilization of surplus, once again, you're looking at a picture of time. So you start with 12/31's balance, which was $8.9 million. After this budget is adopted, you're looking at roughly $1.4 million in surplus left over before the city takes action to move the $1.5 million from the trust. So that 1.5 will regenerate the 1.5 that's being utilized for this budget appropriation of the demolition. If the costs of the demolition do not exceed 1.5 million, that appropriation will be canceled before the end of the year and returned to surplus.
So we won't have $7 million in surplus. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So we don't have $7 million in surplus. Has anyone considered what this is going to do to our credit rating for future bonds? Have we budgeted for that, considering that our credit rating will drop significantly because we have no surplus anymore, and future bonds will cost us more for future things that were emergencies, police vehicles, all those other nice little things that we want to borrow for. We need to consider that in this budget. I also would like an explanation, a legal explanation, not an opinion, please, of what an emergency is. Because there is a legal explanation by law for what an emergency is. The Administrative Law Code, can you tell me what legal limitations are there for the city to declare an emergency, to spend this money? No. Okay, so allow me to help you then. There's contracts, there's law, okay, to do this. And by law, it's 3 days. You've already far exceeded that. The judge's order was on the 10th. 3 days was the time permitted by law. You've exceeded that. So by moving forward with any contract, you're in violation of the law, sir. Which the decisions you make affect us directly, because now we're going to open ourselves up to lawsuits, potentially from the property owner, of all people. I seriously ask you to consider revisiting this budget, going over it, and making sure you fully understand the ramifications of what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Angelina.
Just to clarify, my understanding from the finance aspect of it, there was a verbal contract entered into, and an emergency would affect the public health, safety, and welfare. So in our finance viewpoint, a contract was entered into by the city. The action the city is taking this evening is to formalize it by having the governing body approve, 1, the financing method, which was the temporary appropriation, and 2, the actual physical award to this contractor. In reference to, I think there were some questions relative to the tax rate. The city's tax rate has remained the same for the last 4 years. So if somebody feels it's overstated this year, perhaps it was overstated the past 4 years. But when you look at the abstract of ratables, you have to take into consideration the value of our community. It is a mathematical equation, so there are ratios that exist. So perhaps your neighboring communities might be paying 0.75 of a tax rate, and we're at 1.226. It's not necessarily apples to apples. So there is a method of going through it. That's why the county rate is actually equalized. Not everybody has the same county tax rate, but they go through the equalization process. Not sure if there were any other budget questions that came up, Commissioner?
No.
Not sure.
Mr. Bowman, if I may, Mr. Mayor, just to clarify, Mr. Bowman, I know for this specific resolution authorizing the reading and the resolution to amend, it does not specify the emergency contract in its specificity. It merely prepares our budget for that resolution.
The dollar
Am I
amount.
correct?
Correct.
So we're focusing on the dollar amount at this point.
Correct.
Thank you, Mr. Bowman.
Thanks, Mike.
Good evening. Nicholas Kerniski, Millville, just a retired old guy. And the most cogent and persuasive comments I've heard this evening came from, I'm sorry, Miss Udalovis.
Yes.
She seemed to hit the nail right on the head when she's talking about due diligence and the bid that was provided being far in excess of the market. If this is an emergent situation, which I'm not going to question that, but why can't we get emergent competitive bids? I'm sure there's lots of very energetic contractors out there who could expedite applications and provide bids with a quick turnaround. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nicholas. Anyone else? I close the public comment portion of this.
Mr. Mayor, thank you.
ahead.
I just want to touch on one little thing here. No matter what happens, folks, we are going to have to come up with the money to demolish that building. I don't know what else I can tell you. This city is going to be responsible to demolish that building, whether it's 1.5 million, whether it's 1.2 million, or whether it's $1. We are responsible to get that building down. That's why we have the money in there. So if anybody else got any idea how we're going to pay for it, I'd like to know. If you got another contractor, that's a decision. We still have to come up with the money. We still have to come up with the money and pay for it. That's why we have that money in the budget. That's why it is important. That's why we have to make sure tonight we adopt our budget, folks. That is vital to us. Okay? Thanks, Mayor. I'm sorry. Mike, you got anything else?
Good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Just here to monitor the votes.
Yeah, I was going to say, the next two votes need to be 2/3 of the 5-member council, correct?
You'll close the public hearing, assuming everyone has spoken their piece.
Okay,
Right.
Then you do the budget amendment,
Right.
2/3, which you need 4 votes for.
gotcha, okay.
And then consideration of the budget itself is a simple majority of the full membership. So even though you have 1 absent member, you need 3 positive
So
votes.
3,
4 to amend, 3 to adopt.
gotcha. Thank you.
Madam Clerk,
So roll call.
roll call.
So, but,
Do we close the public?
Close.
I did.
you did this.
You did close it, okay, sorry. There we go.
Vice Mayor Parent.
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis.
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper.
Yes.
Mayor Santiago.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
Thank you, people.
Okay, we have a resolution to amend the calendar year 2018 budget from $33,226,954 to $34,726,954.
Mr. Mayor, move the adoption of this resolution.
Second motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Vice Mayor Parent.
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis.
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper.
Yes.
Mayor Santiago.
Yes.
Motion carries. Okay, and I just need, not a resolution, but just a motion to finally approve the resolution adopting the calendar year 2018 budget as amended.
Mr. Mayor, move to adopt the budget. Need a second.
Second motion.
Thank you.
Any comments?
Yes, if I may, Mr. Mayor. This is a big title thing right now that we're trying to do is to adopt this budget. It is vital to the city of Millville that we adopt this budget this evening. I'm going back in March of this year, I presented a budget with a zero tax increase to the people of this city. I think that is important. One of the concerns that some of the one commissioner, my good friend Joe over here, in fact, he's flying in, folks, he's away, but was in the police department, the public safety portion of our budget. We'll go back to March of this year. In that budget were 5 new police officers, no increase in your budget, no tax increase. Then 1 new firefighter in the public safety department, no increase in your tax rate. 1 new part-time evidence clerk in the public safety department, no new tax increase. Another $60,000 under the animal shelter was put in that budget in March with no tax increase. Brings us up to this point. The director, and I've all talked to Joe last night, by the way, one of the concerns were walking patrolmen in Center City, maybe some special twos, and the bike patrol. I want to remind people, outside of the budget, we are able to get funds under the Holly City Development Corporation, which is a nonprofit agency that I'm proud to be part of. We have a board member here this evening also, and Larry Miller, who serves on that board. We are a nonprofit agency that's out there raising money to help offset costs in the city. We are probably the best kept secret in the city of Millville. We have a very strong board that governs it. We also have a full-time executive director and a staff that work hard and volunteers. The Neighborhood Alliance is part of the Holly City Development Corporation. We represent and work with over 45 agencies throughout this city and trying to improve and make this city a good city for everybody. All volunteers doing that. Extremely important. So we put some money there. You have it for extra patrols. You have it for bicycle patrols, all in that 3rd ward, which the people of this city were talking about public safety, which was one of the issues that we had throughout the campaign. Another part of the campaign was, people wanted economic development and jobs, which are important to the taxpayers in the city to help stabilize our taxes. We are doing that, folks. We are aggressive in getting that done. I mentioned it earlier. Things are happening. People see that we are a friendly community who's attracting business and industry in this city. People, again, are here tonight to work with us. The public safety of the city is very important. The people need that. But I also understand that we have to address the concerns of the men and women in our fire department, their safety, the men and women in the police department for their safety. Those of us who have loved ones or who had loved ones in public safety understand that it is important that we also provide the necessary funds to protect them who out there taking care of our city. When we're home at night, cooking dinner or watching TV, and something comes on that TV, and all of a sudden the firefighter dies because he's fighting fire, or 9/11 folks, or a police officer who is shot somewhere throughout this country. We are concerned about that as family members, wanting to make sure that our loved one comes home safe. We don't care what's for dinner or what's on TV. That's a true fact. And it's my responsibility and our responsibility to also provide those funds that our police officers and firefighters are safe. That is in this budget now already without a tax increase. And I thank our fellow commissioners who are here. Within their budget, I hope they understand how important it is to adopt this budget tonight. It depends on that type of safety for our families, safety for our residents that we're looking at. This can go on and on to our seniors who are on fixed income. I talk to people like Mary. People have a very difficult time out there living. Any type of tax increase affects people like Mary. I don't care what you think. Some people say, well, let's do a tax increase and blame the building falling down, blame the other commissioner that was here. That's not my style, folks. We're here now. We are here to present a budget of no tax increase to the residents of this city and making sure that we provide those services to our residents. This is only the beginning of public safety as far as I am concerned. I hope that when we're ready next year for our budget, I'm looking forward to working with the chief and the public safety director that we can do something every year to bring up those numbers in our police department, not all at once. So I'm pleased to present this budget. I want to thank once again Marcella Shepard, our chief financial officer. She's not a rising star, she is a star. I've known Marcy for many years. She is the best of the best of the best, believe me. I want to thank my good friends from Bowman & Bowman, Mike. They are, without question, the best people that I know that we can do business with. So therefore, I encourage our commissioners tonight to vote in favor of this budget without a tax increase. Thanks, Mayor.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Madam Clerk?
Okay. Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Thanks, guys.
Motion carries.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Jack.
guys. Appreciate it. Good job. No tax increase, folks.
All right.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you.
Item 10, a resolution authorizing adjustments in the tax and utility records.
Jim?
Motion to approve, Mayor.
Second motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 11 is a resolution authorizing water sewer terminations on May 21st, 2018 due to payment default pursuant to 56-18 of the Municipal Code.
Mr. Mayor, move the adoption of this resolution.
Second motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 12 is a resolution authorizing award of bid for calendar year 2018 water and sewer department supplies to the following 3 vendors as per the attached schedule based on the lowest amount per item: Waterworks Supply Company, Katarina Supply Incorporated, and Core and Maine.
Mr. Mayor, move the adoption of this resolution.
Certification funds?
Yeah, with the certification availability of funds to Marcy Shepard, Chief Financial Officer.
Second.
Motion. Thank you.
Roll call.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion carries. Next item is a resolution authorizing the City of Millville to accept the offer to purchase property from the State of New Jersey Department of Transportation for the Route 49 Sarah Run Drive to Garrison Lane project.
Mr. Mayor, move the adoption of this resolution.
Second motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
Let's go to new business.
Okay, I just need a motion to authorize the following social affair permits. On behalf of the Riverfront Renaissance Center for the Arts, 22 North High Street on June 2nd, 2018 from 6 to 11, and also on behalf of Wheaton Arts and Cultural Center, 1501 Glasstown Road on October 6th and 7th from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of this resolution.
Second the motion?
Any comments? Roll call.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion carries.
We've now reached the public comment portion of our meeting. Anyone who would like to address the commission, please go to the podium, state your name, and address your concerns, and please limit your comments to approximately 5 minutes.
Good evening, Commissioners. Angeline Broomhall, Millville. I would respectfully request that our financial advisor not advise us on the law. As far as the emergency, it doesn't really matter what contracts you entered into. The law is clear, and I wish that our solicitor would assist you more in guiding you and advising you on what these laws are instead of our financial advisor. The laws are required that an actual imminent danger must exist, requiring the immediate delivery of goods or the performance of services. And as soon as reasonably possible, but within 3 days of declaring the emergency, that the services must be delivered. Now, on another subject, completely different, kind of lighthearted. Last week, picking up my daughter from school, she gets in the car, and she says, "Mom, we had the job fair today at school, and Officer Cott came up to me and said, I saw your mom." I don't know Officer Cott. I mean, I know of him. Clearly, everyone must know of Officer Cott. But it was heartwarming to me. It made me feel so good that a police officer knew who I was and my daughter was, and like kind of let her know, like not in a negative way. So it warmed my heart. Not growing up in Millville, not having that hometown that I've given to my daughter, it made me feel good. It was great. It was a wonderful thing. And then later on that night, I got a message from Officer Cott. Again, I don't know him personally. I only know of him. With a picture of him and my daughter at the career fair at the school, with her wearing a vest and a little sticker badge. And I have to give kudos to that. It was a wonderful thing. It literally had tears rolling down my face. And if you've had any experiences, if anyone has had experiences of not growing up in Millville, like I didn't, I moved quite a bit growing up. And although my daughter has been in the same home her whole life, and I have been able to provide that to her, it's a new experience for me. So I'm grateful to him for doing that for her. And I'm grateful to any and all other police officers that do that community outreach, because it's that one connection that you make with my daughter that may make the difference in what type of person she grows up to be. So I'm grateful to Officer Cott, Millville Police Department, and the city for providing that for my daughter. Thank you.
Angelina, let me thank you for them right now. And as you know, Officer Cott is one of our important police officers. They're all important. But the fact that he's in our schools and he does a tremendous job, and I know he appreciates those comments, so thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Betty Motley out in Millville. I just want to correct a couple of things. The last commission had already prepared a budget with a 0 increase. In that budget was 10 police officers. So they had already put that in, the money for that in the previous budget. And then you guys rework a budget. So I just want to make that clear, that they did have 10, some dropped out. Okay, that's one thing. Now, when I moved here, my home was going to be my forever home. And to leave it will break my heart. But seeing how the city's headed and all my friends leaving, it's not a place that I'm going to ever be able to stay because it's getting so bad. And I've been promised for 30 years that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. You're going to see, Betty, great things are coming. And I'm still being told that today. And one of the people that stood at this mic put it perfect. They told him that, oh, there's this bright light at the end of the tunnel. And he told him, you're right. It's a train headed your way. And when it hits, you're not going to know what happened. And I feel that's where we're at today. That train is hit. And I'm so disappointed. I've never been, as Parent says he is, I've been an independent. I don't even want to know what you are. But after looking at what happened with this last election, I don't care if my own son was running on a Democrat ticket. I will never vote again, because every contract that you have gave out is to someone who contributed to your campaign. No big contracts. Some of them more than, and the ones that were more than they were. Mr. Perry and I had this conversation in my living room, and he says, what's wrong with them contributing this money? I said, because they'll all get big city contracts as paybacks. And his comment was, oh, Betty, that'll never happen. That's really illegal. It has to be bid. Well, so much for that. Every one of them has gotten something. And even the construction crew that is taking down the building, they donated to your team. So I don't get it. I mean, it upsets me so bad I can hardly even talk about it, because I never saw anything like this in my life. And when I say it's a dictatorship, that's exactly how I feel. The people in Millville have no say whatsoever. And then people say to me, well, how did they get in there? Did they think we're stupid? That's the question I get. And my answer is, must be because they're in there, aren't they? Thank you.
Thank you, Betty.
Yeah,
You okay, Betty? You okay?
All right. Robert McQuaid, Millville. Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Robert.
I wasn't. I didn't like that comment with the school board. You owe an apology for that because another government body should not attack another government body. And yes, we have done a lot. And I'm going to tell everybody here what we've done right now. Okay, I contacted Senator Sweeney's office, and I actually spoke to Senator Sweeney. He sent me a letter out, which I was surprised when I won my re-election for winning it. Okay, he's not my senator in our district, nor am I a part of his party, but I once was Democrat. I left because of issues. What we did, Sweeney set us up with Jason Red and also Elizabeth Munn, and they wanted a interview with Dr. Gentile, so we set it up an interview with him. And Dr. Gentile, Bryce, and board member, I was going to call you Commissioner Oliver was there with us. The only one that spoke, though, besides me introducing everybody, was Dr. Gentile. We pleaded our case on the amount of money that we need to continually run the school system, which we were looking at a $5 million deficit. I don't know if you're aware of the emergency funding that we just received because of that phone call, because 2 weeks, it took about a month for me to get this through, with back and forth with the offices. After that conversation Gentile had with Sweeney, after our board meeting, I found out we would possibly end up losing 22 people. I called back to Senator Sweeney's office, asked Jason Redding and Elizabeth Munn what they could do to help us and save the taxpayers and save some of these jobs because we needed these teachers. The Thursday before Good Friday, they sent out a letter, and we are receiving $627,085. The $800,000 that we were borrowing, which districts such as Cherry Hill and Princeton and all those areas were able to get that just as a grant. We had to actually borrow that money, and taxpayers would be paying back $81,000 of that. That was washed, and we don't have to pay none of that back, and they're adding that back into our funding. So this is what the school board did, and we were working on. So you do owe an apology for that. If you want to attack a board member, I don't care, but don't bring the whole board into it. That's like me saying the whole commission. If I have a problem with another commissioner saying the whole commission's, and the only two commissioners that actually knew what I was setting up to do, and I got their opinion, was Bruce Cooper and Joe Pepitone. And we sat and talked, and they thought it was a great idea. And we also thought, as the chairman of the Community Relations Board, we're looking to have a commissioner a month. So, Mr. Mayor, you may be our first one to come in.
I'll be there.
Okay.
I've been on that board.
Okay. Well, I'm talking about
be
commissioner of the month instead of student of the month. We're going to have commissioner of the month. So you're willing. Okay.
That's fine.
But I just wanted to...
In open public, I apologize to
Thank
both of you. Mr. Walden, accept my apology?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I didn't know who you were talking about.
Mary Messick here of Millville. I'm changing suits, which is going to be a blessing to you, Mr. Mayor, based on a statement you made several commission meetings back. Tonight I'm representing the fact I'm a member of Code Blue, or better known as M25. I feel that since the Code Blue season is over with, which is from November 1st to April 15th, I feel that this commission, since it has stood behind its works, that you are entitled to a update on what has happened. So please bear with me. This was Millville's 4th year of being involved in operating a warming center under the title of Code Blue. This year alone, Millville had a record-setting season of 45 nights. This comes out to 36% increase from the 2016-2017 season and an 80% increase from the 2015-2016 season. The month of January alone for Code Blue had 20 days that we were in operation. Millville's Code Blue was the only warming center out of the 3 cities that had remained open from start to finish from when they've called Code Blue. And we've had 2 days total that we were open around the clock. And Millville's Code Blue's volunteers alone had put in 700 hours of volunteering alone, while through all 3 cities, the total hours of volunteering at these warming centers totaled 5,670 hours of volunteering. Millville's Code Blue has helped 3 people get into rehab alone, 1 person learning how to read, 5 people to getting a job, 1 person getting a GED, 4 people who had no IDs getting their IDs, and 8 people that were guests at one time have now turned around and have given back and become volunteers. We've had 1 person who was a guest who's now reunited with their family. And in closing with M25 and the Housing First program, there's been a decrease in the homeless population of 11% since June of 2017. We've had over 37 people placed from homelessness to now having a home. And based on this alone, we would like to thank all the volunteers, coordinators, businesses, law enforcement, the city itself, any and all churches, all those that had donated their time and everything in order to make the Code Blue for this year a success. And I thank you.
Thank you. Good job.
Tim Cardy, Millville. Commissioner Udavalis, I just want to give you a big hand because I'm glad to see that you're actually sitting there doing your homework and trying to look out for what's right for the citizens of Millville. And I want that on public record. And I'm proud of that. I'm glad to see you up there as a commissioner. And maybe some other commissioners should follow in your footsteps. And I just want to tell you, keep your head up because eventually they'll listen to you.
Thank you, Mr. Cardy.
Kevin Asselta, Millville. I got a question on the normal things that go out for bids, such as our city sewer and water department stuff that we approved the bid for tonight. What's the time frame that we normally give for those bids to come back? 6 weeks total from start to end?
Regina?
We're required to advertise 14 days. Due to the timing issue, when we ask permission and bid, we usually allow 3 to 4 weeks. If it's a large construction project, the engineering department may allow more than, but by law, we're required 14 days to advertise.
Okay, so we have 14 days to advertise with a 4-week response time for an average of 6 weeks. We put out for bid $2.80 for a gasket, $2.30 for a filter screen. We're talking dollars. We didn't put out to bid a $1.2 million demolition with almost the same time period. It just doesn't feel right as a citizen. And I know you guys have the public safety to deal with. But when we're bidding out dollars and pennies and awarding millions, it just, from a citizen standpoint, we just go, why? Then we have where it changes from an ordinance, which will give us a chance to talk about it and discuss our concerns with it, to when I pulled up in the meeting and came up to get my agenda, realized there is no agendas. So I went on my phone and went, well, wow, that's funny. That's changed. So without any notification, I now don't have a right really to say anything over it because it went from an ordinance to a resolution. And again, I know that may be time restraints, but we've had 3.5 to 4 weeks currently. So it's just, that's why you hear a lot of citizens in an uproar. It's not about the building.
Sure.
Yes, everybody wants to save gyms. We're all concerned. We all want to have public safety there. But when we're talking millions of dollars, when we've been fighting for $80,000 or less for officers per year, that's where people get concerned. We have $1.5 million coming out of surplus. Demolition is 1.2, leaves us $300,000 overage, which I think we're actually probably going to go over that because we're currently sitting on over $300,000 on what's done currently. That's not counting if you read the contract. I think it says it for tonnage overage. So we have that. It also says for asbestos overage, this overage, but stuff in the foundations. And when you read through it, it's a ticking time bomb for it can be anything. So I don't think even that $300,000 overage is enough. Then we're going to rebuild the surplus by removing liability insurance. Is that what I heard correctly? No. What did you state? How we were going to rebuild that? I also heard something about insurance.
What happened is the city previously was self-insured. So therefore, through the years, through the budget process, they needed to put funds aside to pay claims. Those are now covered through commercial insurance, and they have been for several years. The reserves were maintained on the city's books in case there were subsequent bills relative. In this case, when we have a situation like this, the state of New Jersey will allow the city to pass a resolution to cancel those funds because it has been sufficient time. So therefore, this fund that we have sitting on our trust will be canceled and turned over to the current fund to replenish the surplus.
Thank you for that clarification.
Marcy has something to say.
Wait a minute. Marcy, we need you on the mic. Thank you.
When I close the books at the end of the year, my budget is probably going to go back to the $8 million that I have now. Because when I close, any additional revenue that I receive over what I projected will go into surplus. Any money I didn't spend from the 2017 budget will also go back in surplus. So it usually averages out to be about $5 million a year. So I just want to make sure that that's
Clear.
We're going down to $1.7 million now, but
it'll
all
be
this
back
is
up.
going to go back into it at the end of the year.
Thank you.
Okay, so I appreciate the clarification because I was wondering how we got that liability fund.
right.
So now that I know it's a trust that's set up to pay, how much other money is left in that trust that's no longer needed now that we're not self-insured that can be transferred over?
I don't know.
I have $2 million in there.
I think there's $2 million. Am I right, Marcy? Sorry.
So the whole 1.5 million is coming basically from the 2 million overage from the liability when we were self-insured. Okay. So just that clarification to citizens alone would, we still would like to see the money spread out across the board, but at least, it clarifies some of it. And that's things that happen when you have an ordinance versus a resolution. The last thing sorry, I'm real tiny notes and my eyes are getting old. The property that we are demolitioning now, are we as a city going to try to retain that property for money that is owed for the demolition of the property, of the building? And if so, is that property going up for a public auction, or is that something the city's looking at to retain?
We're still in the infant stages of that, Kevin, but I'll allow our solicitor to answer that question.
So the property would be liened for whatever it is that this project costs. That's going to far exceed what the market value of the property is based on what it sold for in 2016. But yeah, we will be going after not only leaning the property itself to take the property, and then the commission will decide at some point later what they want to do with it. But the commission also has the opportunity, which I believe will be discussed tonight in closed session, to make a decision to go after the owners, their insurance, or anybody that's involved with this property to recruit any and all money we possibly can against the money that we spent out.
Okay. Because I'm sure everybody heard, there's always talk. We're a small town, and everybody hears the same talk.
Right.
So that's why some of those questions, and again, that all leads back to where everybody gets upset at. And I just hope down the road this process, when something arises like this, it can be more smooth flowing. I know there's the Sunshine Law Act, but I'm sure you could also do a public open session meeting just to discuss things of such importance, because I think a lot of citizens would have liked to have been up to date before the process of it being voted on. Thank you.
Kevin, if I may say.
Okay. Kevin, what you're saying is exactly right. We've learned from what happened on March 26th. And thanks to our city clerk and our attorney, we're following a process that the city of Camden has. They actually have policies and procedures that we now have copies of that we're looking at so that we can implement into our policies and procedures. God forbid this happens again. So it's a great question.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, go ahead, man. You're fine. I'm fine.
Mike?
Mayors and Commissioners, just one clarifying point. Any funds that are spent for this demolition, a demolition lien will be recorded on the current fund, the financial statements of the city. So there will be a tracking mechanism for us to see what those costs are. If we do end up with funds from a sale or whatever happens to the property, they would be used to liquidate this receivable. So there will be a tracking mechanism in the finance department for this.
Thank you. Anyone else? Close the public portion part of this meeting.
Good job, Mayor.
All right, I close the public portion part of this meeting. Comments of commissioners. Commissioner Cooper.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a few points about this evening's meeting. First, I want to commend everyone that worked on that budget. I know that, Vice Mayor, you've worked diligently on that budget, along with Marcy and Bowman. I really appreciate the effort that you guys put into that. We've had much anguish over the past several weeks trying to get that into a position where we're all comfortable with that. And I know that took a lot of work, so I just want to say thank you to all involved in that. I'm not sure. I mean, my decision went down to the wire, actually, I'll be honest, about what we should do with our budget and how to move on that. So, and my decision came with much trepidation. But from what I understand in your due diligence, and from what we talked about, and in speaking with Marcy, our CFO, thank you again, Marcy, tremendous job. And that's just what we're about. I think that's what we're about for the citizens of the city. And it's more about that than anything else. It's not about favorites. It's not about the past. It's about what we're going to do for the city. And that's an example of doing the right thing. Because I think that some of us may have expected a tax increase. And I know, along with my fellow commissioner, who's not here today, he pushed for that. And as we were in the campaign, many people talked about a tax increase, and they were okay with that, because a lot of it wanted to come for public safety. Right. The number one issue that we heard over and over throughout the campaign was public safety. So I really commend you to be able to stabilize this budget and knowing what the philosophy is moving forward, and in knowing that you're going to be able to still take care of those issues. And also, I want to commend you again on bringing in this additional revenue. There's receivables and revenue coming in that people are going to really be surprised if they haven't really seen it thus far. That's going to be coming into our city. And you've done a tremendous job with that, and Commissioner Udalvis and the Vice Mayor and the Mayor working really hard on that. I appreciate that. So there are things in place that will allow us to flourish and to grow as a city, and I believe that's what we want to do. Moving forward, I was a bit disappointed in Ms. Monteleone's description of the train coming. I disagree with you. I think this train you should get on. This is the train you should get on at the next stop, because this is the train that's going to lead us to the future and to a better future for Millville. And I believe that all of our commissioners, that's what we want. I hope that you can see that moving forward and have an open mind, and we can all work together. We're not going to always agree with each other. We don't do it here as commissioners. We're not going to do it here as residents. We're not going to always agree, but I know for a fact that us five, we're pushing for the best for the residents. And that's how we make our decisions. So again, we may not agree. I hope you get on at the next stop.
That was someone said that 25 years ago.
Okay, I thought you meant that recently. Okay.
I think
Well, you're still on the train now, though.
I think it's a ride.
Okay. It's a good ride. I think it's going to a nice destination.
That's what I was told 25 years ago.
Go ahead, Coop.
Also, Mr. McQuaid and my friend from the school board,
Mr. Wilton.
Mr. Wilden as well, my friends from the school board. I got to be honest, I don't know, where's Bob at? I didn't think that you were going to get that money. And I want to commend you for really working hard on that. I remember when you talked to Commissioner Pepitone and I about, your plan. Right. We were like, he's crazy. It's not going to work. It'll never work. But if anybody knows you, they know that never stops you. So I appreciate who you are and what you bring to the city, and please keep doing that for us. We need your spirit. Someone spoke of a dictatorship. I think we're far away from that position of being a dictatorship. I have to say that I love the mayor and what he does for us. He allows us to be commissioners. He allows us to have our own ideas, and he pushes for us to do that. This is not a dictatorship where he's pushing us to say, you better vote my way, or you better see things my way. The vice mayor feels the same way. We don't do things that way. And as you go on, you'll get to see that although we all feel the same way, we all have our own mind, and we'll continue to have that. And I commend Commissioner Udalvis. She disagrees with us on certain things and with other commissioners, and that's okay. But that's who we are. But that's part of the process. And that's how we continue to move forward. So this is not a cookie-cutter commission. So I think you'll be able to see that as we move forward. And last but not least, Mary, thank you for your dissertation on Code Blue. I think we all support that. We all are behind that 100%. And to know that there's an 11% decrease in homelessness is something I think that needs to be commended. And that's a lot of hard work from what you do, and learning, and people learning how to read and getting them jobs. That's what it's all about for community, and that's who we are as Millville. So even as we may have had our disagreements here tonight, Industrial Commission, so forth, I think we should still leave here respecting one another, knowing that we're all on the same page and moving the city forward, and let's continue to do that. And you know what? We're not going to agree. Again, we're not going to agree, and bring your opposite opinions to us, because that helps us with our decisions as well. And we do hear you. Just because you go up there and speak, it doesn't mean that we're not listening. We are listening to you. And we talk a lot about those issues. So I want to thank you all here tonight for your concerns and for bringing them forward, and continue to do that. It's going to help us become that shining Holly City on the hill. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Udalvis.
Before delivering my comment, I would like to clarify one of the comments that we heard during the public comment section, and I know that our city administrator and purchasing agent would be able to confirm that our structural engineer, Pannoni Engineering, that is our professional services contract, is separate from the contractor who is actually performing the demolition as ratified in our resolution.
County Engineering was hired, we appointed him through an RFP in January for special projects in engineering. He was tasked to draw up the structural plans, and their firm is also going to oversee the inspections during the demolition daily to make sure that it progresses as directed.
Very good. Thank you, Regina. And our employees, when in the correct capacity, approach protocol in a regimented approach, as do our professional services contracts when we allow them without our own interference to do so. The events of preceding weeks have highlighted the importance of one concept that has been promoted through this administration but must be demonstrated with more diligence, valuing the professional qualifications of our city officials and employees to guide in decision-making and utilizing these resources to demonstrate best practices in leadership. Through implementing comprehensive protocol for our departments to communicate and collaborate in cross-departmental initiatives utilizing the appropriate and pertinent personnel, this administration must seek to promote the strengths of our employees rather than to focus on the strengths of the elected officials themselves. As a Board of Commissioners, we have a duty to advocate for and protect the interests of our citizens without regard for our own pride. It is time for our actions as leaders to communicate our dedication to providing a sound infrastructure for our employees to demonstrate competence in their professions while we, as leaders, promote and support the strengths that each professional contributes to the city. While we are elected to a term of 4 years, our shared vision of public service should be to establish an infrastructure that can support and improve the performance of municipal services over a long-term duration, and this can only be accomplished through supporting our professionals to follow effective due process with consistency and established protocol. Investing in those individuals who work as administrators and employees for the City of Millville to promote confidence is an area of focus that remains a priority. Therefore, our focus as a Board of Commissioners should be to demonstrate the humility necessary to place the skills and expertise of others before our own, and to contemplate our own actions with more care and regard to the impact they will have on our city and its taxpayers. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You're welcome. Vice Mayor.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. One of the comments were in reference to ordinance and resolutions. You don't have an opportunity to discuss those, but you do. Prior to the agenda session, the mayor asked if anyone has any comments in reference to the agenda where the resolutions are, and we're here, and we are here. Some people can't make it in the workshop session, which is earlier, but you have an opportunity to ask those questions and get some answers on those. So we are open on it. Once again, Mike Cicero from Bowman & Bowman. Mike, we really appreciate your effort, and Marcy for yours, and Regina Burke, our city administrator. I don't want to forget Regina, getting to where we are today with our budget. I want to thank each and every commissioner. Thank you for your support in adopting this budget. It means a lot to all of us. And, I also want to comment, I am not for sale. I am not for sale for the highest bidder. Never have, never will be, okay? Decisions on professional services, I don't care, if they campaign for you, they donate to you. The bottom line is I vote for the best people who I feel can do the job and will continue to do that. I don't know where people are getting this Democrat stuff from. I guess it must be coming from the losers, as far as I'm concerned, okay? And, I hope they don't want to play that game, okay? Don't play the game with this commission right here. We've shown that we are independent people, and we're going to remain that way. And I applaud commissioners who disagree with each other. But as you've noticed, you don't hear us arguing with each other. You don't hear us using slanderous remarks towards each other. That doesn't happen. We respect each other's decision. In all the years that I've served, which has been a lot, I've disagreed with other commissioners, but we never lost respect for one another, no matter how we voted. And I think that's important. We've discussed these things. You got to remember that you're televised. This commission meeting is always televised, and the people out there, they're going to judge you. They're going to judge you every meeting, how you act, how you present yourself, how you vote. And after 4 years, those people out there, are going to elect you, or they're not. Life goes on if you don't get elected. I've served with a lot of great people up here who lost an election. People that I never thought would lose. Dedicated, hardworking. It happens, folks. It happens. It happens to a lot of us if we've been there too long sometimes. But this administration is going to stick together. We do have a vision, and a vision without a plan is only a vision. How many times you hear that? This administration has a plan with that vision. Give it time. Give it time. Okay? Sorry, Mayor.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
That's it.
I want to make a statement on 109 Main Street that I've prepared, and the City Commission continues to address the situation at 109 East Main Street. As previously stated, City has hired Pannoni Associates to serve as our structural engineer and will oversee this project. Qualified structural engineers have prepared a plan to safely demolish the building and are working with our emergency contractor, Perriman Excavating. We understand that many are anxious about seeing the building come down, as we are. In a perfect world, the building would have been down already and we would have been moving on to the next stages or project. Perryman and his employees are going to do the best job that they can do for the city of Millville, along with Pannoni. There have been those who have criticized this city for not acting quickly enough in an emergency situation. We can certainly understand the anxiety and frustration. However, just because there's an emergency does not mean we should act recklessly. We are trusting those who have the expertise to advise us. In an abundance of caution, we have gone to court and we presented our case successfully for taking down the building. We have communicated with the owner and other interested parties and given them due process, time to set up and address the situation if they choose to do so. I want to say something about the current owner of the building, Matthew White. I have spoken with the man. I know that he purchased the building to expand the ministry of his church, our church. From that we know he purchased the building because he had a heart for helping people in Millville and the surrounding area. The city must do what it has to do to protect the interests of its citizens, but we ask you to consider that Mr. White, who finds himself in a bad situation today, had good intentions when he purchased that building. We, maybe most of all, are sad it did not work out for him. It's unfortunate that he had his heart in the right place. We thank the Mall family for the statement and their support. They are the family that has both served and represented this city of Millville so well over the years, and we look forward to whatever their plans may be. We're working to safely and efficiently demolish this building and dealing with the unexpected realities of fronting the money to pay for the work, with no guarantee that there'll be enough to repay the city's losses or costs. I can think of no one who wanted this to happen right now. This commission stands tall to move this city forward. Again, you've heard it over and over. We may not all disagree or agree or disagree, but we're going to be professionals while we're up here. We respect each other. We will address this setback as we continue to work, bringing new businesses and jobs to Millville. Keep watching for those announcements in the months to come. We have some good things happening. And when we're able to say it, we will. Thank you. And I appreciate everyone that came up to that mic. I hope everyone enjoys this evening. We will now move. Let me get my notes here. Madam Clerk, Resolution 13.
Okay, we have a resolution authorizing a closed session regarding the following matters: LKQ redevelopment agreement under contract negotiations, settlement separation agreement with Michelle Reeves under personnel potential litigation, organizational charts under personnel matters, and possible action against owners of 109 East Main Street under attorney-client privilege.
Mr. Mayor, move the adoption of this resolution.
Second motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Vice Mayor Perrin?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Those of you who want to stay, you're more than welcome to stay. We'll be out again.
Hey, Joe, you watching?
Oh, that's not right. Okay, Madam Clerk, we've already reopened for the public session, had a motion to second, is that correct?
Well, we're in open session right
We're in open session, I just want to make
now.
sure.
Yep, give me 1 second here. Okay,
So we turn it over to you.
All right, so I just need a resolution authorizing a settlement separation agreement with Michelle Reeves.
Mr. Mayor, move the adoption of that resolution.
Second motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion carries. And we also have a resolution to authorize James E. Schroeder to take action against the owners of the property located at 109 East Main Street for the expenses incurred to the City of Millville for the emergency demolition.
Mr. Mayor, move the adoption of this resolution.
Second motion.
Any comments? Roll call.
Vice Mayor Parent?
Yes.
Commissioner Udalvis?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Mayor Santiago?
Yes.
Motion carries. So, I believe Hugh Doherty was going to,
We're going to have Mr. Doherty, yes?
on behalf of
Up on
the commission.
Mike? Just need you to give your first name, last name, and the company that you're representing.
Sure, thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Hugh Doherty. I'm with Pannoni Associates, and I was just going to give you the commission a brief update on the demolition of the demolition project. First, I just want to mention that I've been with Pannoni Associates for 33 years, and for the project at hand, we put together a team of structural, environmental, and civil engineers to evaluate and make recommendations on the building demolition. We found, and actually we were called to the scene on March 27th when it started, and we found that the structural components of the building were compromised and that the building presents a life safety hazard. So we reported those findings in both a letter and then later a report. Since that time, we have taken steps to have the demolition proceed in accordance with the proper protocol under an emergency basis. And the protocol is we must follow New Jersey Department of Labor standards for any environmental hazards that may be present in the building. And to that end, we received, as of today, a waiver of the 10-day notice period for the basically to remove any environmental hazards in the building. With these measures, we're taking every precaution to protect the health and safety of the public. And to that end, we're moving as fast as we can, given the constraints of the public agencies that are involved in the project. So unless there's other questions, that's basically my report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed?
Adjourned.